Good guys, my name is Lord Tom here again with another Sonic the Hedgehog toy item collectible review. As you already know, I am Lord Tom and we're the little blues here, Sonic the Hedgehog. He actually wanted me to review this, so I figured why not. Contrary to what the actual title says, this is actually a God of War, a DualShock 3. I guess you could say limited edition remote control. Basically, in a nutshell, I'm just messing with you guys. I'm definitely going to review that, but that isn't what we're actually going to be reviewing. This is a voila. As you probably may or may not aware, there's going to not be a whole lot to really talk about this. I did a bit of filler. So before I get into the actual review, I'm just going to tell you the double trifecta, if you could really call it. Not the trifecta. The four things I tend to more or less collect is obviously Sonic the Hedgehog, Power Ranger stuff, God of War, definitely one of my second idols. I'm definitely going to review this and other God of War stuff down the track. And of course, Darksiders for those of you who may or may not be interested to know. Yeah, there's definitely, I bought a statue that I'm definitely going to get picked up soon. Not pick up, I pre-ordered a statue that's going to send me back quite a bit. And it's about 32 inches high. But enough about that, let's more or less talk about this and my thoughts and general take on what this is. This is, as you probably may have read from the title, a Metal Sonic tin plate display. By display, this is actually something you can actually have it on display. Obviously by the title display, of course. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to this, really. I'm going to take this out of its original packaging and show you what it actually comes with, so you guys actually have an idea what it is. But there's not a whole lot to really talk about this packaging. It's just a sleeve, and it comes with obviously two things that I will show you, of course. Now, I am aware of a different one that's more or less came out as well. This is back, it was more or less released during 1994 thereabouts. They also released a Sonic the Fighters tin plate display as well, which I've seen pop every now and then, but I want it on its entirety simply because it's got something that actually uses to, I guess, hold it up. Ideally, you don't need them. I will show you, of course, what they are. Pardon me, but ideally, you don't need them. In terms of packaging, this is all it is. It just comes in a little, I guess, plastic sleeve, if at all. So I'm going to take it out just to show you guys what it is, of course. Defeats the purpose of the review if I don't take it out. So before I full on get into the nitty gritty, it comes with two things, of course, and this is the first of two things. It's basically just the instruction sheets of what it is. Now, as you can see, you can probably see it's a hook. I'll show you the hook first, actually. Be careful. The hook is just basically down. I'll show you that first. There's also a lot of things I'm going to show you first. It's basically held down by a little sticky tape. The sticky tape is nothing special. It's just a normal sticky tape. And of course, before I get into further on with the thing, you just have another sticker which says Sega, which was, I think it says 1996, made in Japan. This was actually my bad. Released in 1996. I guess it was more or less in conjunction with Sonic Fighters. I'm not from the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure on the release date of Sonic the Fighters. Because I'm aware that there was an arcade that was released in the US, one of them ish, I think it was, but it was predominantly just more or less released in Japan at the time. Also, they have released it for the PSN and Xbox Live, so guys, if you want Sonic the Fighters, you can definitely check it out. I did get it, pretty nice thing. Basically what this is, I'll show you the instruction sheets first. Here we go. Basically what the little hook is, if you haven't already figured out, there's a little adhesive little bit to it over here, and it connects to the actual plate itself after you remove the adhesive. And per the finger, you don't have to read Japanese to know what's going on, but per the finger, you just basically bend the little aluminium little thing so you can actually use it as a hook, and it actually tells you whereabouts to put it. Now, the adhesive bit goes onto the actual wall, whereby when you make a hook, it actually connects to the actual tin plate. This was more or less released with Sega, the Sega Corporation, where at the time they made like merchandise and whatnot for their own Sega proprietary stuff, which is pretty awesome. So this is more or less one of the big things you need to get of. Of course, the second thing, no surprise, is this little adhesive, little metallic little bit, and you just basically, I'm just going to slide it in. It just slides in there, nothing too crucial. So at the back, there's absolutely nothing really, flabbergastingly awesome to see. It's like just thing. But ideally, once you hook it onto the wall, you're meant to see what the cover is. Now, by far, this is probably one of the reasons why I picked it up, simply because there isn't a lot of little bad guys, nemesis. enemies. I'll just stick with the word enemy. There isn't a lot of enemies. You can see how reflective that is actually. There isn't a lot of enemies out there, and in terms of enemies, of course, I mean, a lot of merchandise that come out for the Sonic universe. Obviously, you have the standard Sonic, Tails, Amy's, Knuckles, just all the fun stuff, including, dare I say, Sonic the Fighters. But you don't see a lot of enemies, a lot of bad guys, especially with Metal Sonic. Even though I know there's Jazzware, which I have, which I think is pretty awesome actually. There's this, there's a few bits and pieces, and there's not a lot of badniks. I don't know if they're popular. I'm a sucker for bad things like that sense. But that's just me. But I wish some corporation, maybe Festival Figures, maybe Triforce, those who just they're just like another manufacturer of merchandise and all that sort of stuff. Jazzware would make more, I guess, decent to top tier quality enemy stuff, even if it's just, you know, the egg carriers and all that sort of stuff. But that's just me, right? So this is the actual Look 10. Predominantly it's black, as you may or may not have known, and you can already tell this is, if you're into the Sonic LS community or collecting aspect to it, you'll notice that this picture has been used in numerous different publications, just to outline, you know, Metal Sonic. But as much as it's being used pretty much plastered all over the place, it does have this prominent powerfulness effect to it. It does look like Metal Sonic, and it does look cool. I'm a sucker for this. You have his eyes, you have his metallic thing. I'll show you more closely. So yeah, you definitely have a lot of aspect of it, which is awesome. For those who haven't watched it, it's a Sonic movie. You can check it out, Metal Sonic. Obviously in Japan it was broken up in 2 episodes. In the US it was done as one movie, Sonic the Hedgehog the movie, which I think is alright. I wish they would make more movies out of them. And of course, per the actual 90s, they had, in Japan anyway, they had a lot of merchandise which was labeled as Sega Sonic. Obviously Sega signifies Sega and Sonic signifies Sonic. The only real setback that I would have this, I will get down to the text of all, is the real setback that I would have with this is it's Metal Sonic. Though you have the blur and a bit of information of Metal Sonic, it doesn't really say Metal Sonic. So for the collectors out there seeking something like this out, I would recommend you type in Sega Sonic as a top of a search engine, so you pick up something like this, because not a lot of people would actually list this as metal, not in Japan or the Asian regions anyway, for whatever reason. Obviously at the bottom you just have, you know, Sega, you know, copyright 1996, 1993, and you have just the blur. Now the blur, I'll have it there. I wish I would. You can probably pause. Okay, wait here. You can pause it here, read it for yourself, and I'm just going to that side, and you can pause it there so you can see it for yourself. Pretty much in a nutshell, for those who can't be bothered reading it, says this is a machine which Eggman developed secretly in order to compete with Sonic's speed. Its speed is equal to that of Sonic. However, it can achieve 4 times the accelerating speed of Sonic when its circuits are overloaded. When the energy overloads the circuitry, blue-white spark spouts from Metal Sonic. The reaction is called, and by the way, I absolutely love what this is called, V Maximum Overdrive Attack, which I'm guessing V stands for velocity, maybe? Vary. I would say V for velocity. Velocity Maximum Overdrive Attack. Epic. If you ever played Sonic Generation, you would have that, and Sonic CD, they would have that as a move. So empowering. What else does it say? And his powers can penetrate any substance, so he pretty much goes into like max speed almost, or beyond that actually. However, V Maximum Overdrive cannot sustain because it is unfavorable cost performance and potential to destroy Metal Sonic itself. In addition, Metal Sonic can use its radiation attacks called Ring Spark Field, but it also has its drawbacks. This attack affects speed, since electrical power is released to the outside. Epic! So this is one of the reasons why I dig Sonic the Hedgehog universe. Obviously back in the 80s, not 80s, but the 90s, you really never had a character that had a drawback as such. Yes, you did have major enemies who followed a pattern, but you never had definite parameters to really play with in terms of drawbacks. For example, this was also in the 90s, and they really put a lot of thought into Metal Sonic. For example, Metal Sonic has 2 attacks. However, one renders him pretty much obsolete and destroys him, while the other attack basically just drains his speed to almost 0, just to increase his attack more or less. I like that, I really do. Dare I say, even with Sonic, the faster you go, which is what they encourage you to do, the more precise and accurate you need to be on the stage to basically read that stage well enough to basically go through the obstacles and all that as fast and sufficient as possible without any taking damage. So yeah, there's a lot of drawbacks with the characters, and there's a lot of pros with the characters, which I totally dig, especially with comics, especially for those who haven't checked out my comic pick of, you know, the week, month, whatever I like to call it. But it's definitely a nice piece, especially when you have just a little, I guess, glowing red thing around him. Kind of gives him that attack feel as well as, you know, like sort of attack. But yeah, that's all I can really talk about this in terms of descriptiveness. This is just a play. It's meant to be hanged out, and I actually do have a hangout. Not with this one, of course, but with a different thing, so people can just walk in and just have a quick read. And you know, it's definitely a nice piece just to have in your collection. To be honest, it really stands still within itself. How much did I get this for? I got this on a Japanese website called Yahoo Japan. I didn't actually physically pick it up. I had a friend from Japan who saw it. She purchased it for me and told me about it, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll buy it off you. I got it for about $20 and $25 shipping as well, and which is pretty awesome. I bought out various other things as well, so I gave her commission, not necessarily for this, but for other things as well, which is also a bonus, you know, kind of a partnership, friendship. Like, you know, nobody's going to do anything for free these days anyway. But yeah, it's definitely a nice piece. In terms of rarity, me, I'm a big sucker for enemies. This will be my want list, so I'll probably give this maybe about 7 stars out of 10. A lot of people might not want this, a lot of people might not like it, so it really comes down to your preference, really. So maybe between 4 stars out of 10 to 7 stars out of 10 really comes down to the collector, to be honest. This I totally dig. I even got the you know, Metasonic statue, and I have this on the back and Metasonic at the front. Really sells itself as a whole. But yeah, guys, tell me what you think. Tell me if you like it, hate it, any recommendations, let me know. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for next week with another review and possibly a Lord Tomo's comic pick, so watch out for that. Anyway, guys, take care and speed on.